Hello, welcome back to the studio tonight. So tonight we are going to be painting a snowy plover. Here he is, little beach bird that lives in our area, and tonight I'm going to be using my travel kit. There it is. Now I have pre-drawn our bird on my piece of paper here to save a little bit of time. There he is, and I'm just going to be quickly applying some color. So let me mix up a little bit here. I'm going to start by using a little burnt sienna right on the top of his crown. Just mixing a little bit. There we go. Just putting it right on there. And I should also say I am using my Princeton Neptune brushes. There we go. All right, and I'm going to darken this color just a little bit. In this kit, my dark is called an ivory, and I'm just mixing my ivory with a little cobalt blue here and a little bit of burnt sienna to make a nice gray color. His wings are really a nice gray, and so I want to give that, and mixing my own gray will make it much more lively, much more lifelike. You'll get little bits and flecks of all those different colors in there, so we want to do that whenever we can. Here we go, just dropping in my gray there. Kind of staying in the same direction, painting in the same direction that the leaves, that the feathers go in. I'm sorry about that, but not holding strictly to that. All right, he's got a little bit of a black band here on his throat. I'm going to drop that in, and a little black just above his eyes. That was a little too much. All right, now on his chest and underbelly, it's white in real life, but I don't want to leave it white. I want to give it a little definition, so I'm going to put a little bit of yellow ochre down there. That's going to give it just enough color that you're going to be able to see it. There we go. And I'm mixing that with a little bit of light red right there. And down onto his feet. Now I don't know how much we're going to see of his feet because I'm going to have him standing in the sand, but they're there. All right, while I've got my dark color mixed, he's got a black beak. I'm just going to put that on real quickly. Here it goes. Whoop. My Princeton brushes are not the springiest brushes in the world. So if you push the bristles over, they do stay bent, but they do hold a lot of water, and that is quite a good thing. So here we go. I'm just putting some extra gray, extra red on his head, mixing up a little bit of color. I'm going to darken some of his feathers here, so I'm getting my gray back. There we go. A little too much of my burnt sienna in there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more of my ivory and of my cobalt blue. There we go. And just where I think his feathers need to be, just glancing back at my reference photo, I'm not trying to paint an exact copy of that reference photo. That's not how I paint, but I do want to use it as an inspiration. I'm going to put a little bit of blue underneath his wing just to give the indication that there's a little separation there. Give a little depth to it, and my wing is running. No mind, I'll just dab that up. Keep going. I could have left it there and darkened it on the next coat, but I'll just dab a little bit of it here off, and it'll be fine. And adding a little bit of blue underneath, knowing that there's just a bit of shadow down there. Yeah, maybe trying to paint the blue underneath the wing just after I painted the wing, not the best idea. in the world. Maybe I'll learn that someday, maybe not, but it doesn't matter. We're having fun, we're painting, doing some watercolors. We'll just dab it off and roll with it. So here we go, just defining his chest area a little bit more and his stomach down there. A little bit of color. All right. So there was a little jump there. I got called away. I'm back now. My painting has dried while I've been away, so let me get back to it. I'm going to paint his eye in. If you've seen me paint birds on other videos, typically I will start with the eye and move out from there. I don't know why I did it differently this time, but this seems like as good a time as any to fill that eye in. And while I'm up in that area, I'm going to darken up the underside of his beak. There we go. All right. Mixing a little bit of my burnt sienna and yellow ochre. Maybe drawing a little bit of light red into it. There we go. I'm going to go back up into his crown a little bit. Just where it meets his feathers. Add a little bit of definition, a little bit more color. And here we go. Mixing up my gray, trying to get a nice tone that I like. I tried to do this earlier and it didn't work out for me. I'll put it on now and it should be no problem at all. Here we go. I just swapped out. I got a slightly larger brush. I'm sorry, I need to turn this upside down. Here we go. I'm just going to drop in some more color, intensify that a little bit. That looks better to me. Looking better anyways. Always mixing more paint. I don't worry about getting my paints exactly the same every time I mix them. In fact, I'm trying not to mix on the palette so much. I'm trying to mix more on the page. But for this one, I'm doing more on the palette. And it's going to work out just fine. I can tint it a little bit more red or a little bit more gray, a little bit more blue as I need to before I put it on the paper. I'm only mixing up a tiny little bit at any moment, as you can see. There we go, and just giving some definition to him there. I put it on and spread it out. I don't want it to be really dark on his underbelly, his underside down there. Just I want to give some indication that there is some definition there. And now I've mixed up a color that I think is kind of sandy. Put it down below him. We'll see how long it stays. But while I'm thinking about that, I can put in some blue on the top, as though we can see the sky behind him. And I'm just dabbling this on. I'm not trying to get it perfect. I'm not trying to make it do anything it doesn't want to do. I want the paint to be the star here. So I'm going to put on a little color, and I'm going to put on a little water and let it run and do what it wants to do. Here we go. I'm going to mix some green in there. Maybe there's a few plants down below this guy. There we go. Right, maybe he's walking across the beach where there's some kelp that just got there. And here we go with a nice blue background. There we go. I'll just put it on a little thicker, then add quite a bit of water, let that blend out. The dark line right against the bird is going to make that bird stand out and jump off the page. And then all the water that allows that to flow and dissipate as it gets closer to the edge is going to let that paint just do whatever it wants to do. Here we go. I'm just mixing in a little different color of blue. This is a Prussian blue. I didn't want to have the same color of blue the whole way. That bright blue that I started with was cobalt blue. This Prussian blue has a little bit of red mixed into it. So it's just slightly different. Here we go. Dropping in my water, letting the paint do whatever the paint wants to do. I'm going to put on a little bit of splatter. That's going to mix and blend in there. It's going to give that background a little bit of life. I didn't really mean to get it on the bird, but no mind. We'll touch it up, fix it up. There we go. Let's put a few splatters out there. Again, that's going to spread out in that water. It's going to give a little texture to it. It's going to give a little body to it, a little bit of life. Make it seem like more is going on there. I'm going to drop a little yellow ochre in behind this bird. There we go. Just maybe darken it with a little burnt sienna. I don't want to do too much. I want this background to stay really loose and let it do what it wants to do. But I want it to have a little bit of life and a little bit of movement. There we go. Maybe just a little bit more of my sap green in there. And as I put this on, you can see it looks like something's going on underneath this bird. Our bird is still the focal point, but it's not sitting in a sterile environment. Where that bird is sitting is an alive place. All right, I'm just going to go back for a little touch up. That might be a little dark. I'm hoping that's going to just lighten up as it dries. A few touches of paint here and there. Not too many. I don't want to change too much. I like the bird the way he is. But maybe I can give him a little help here and there. Good, there we go. Adding a little bit of blue underneath. All of a sudden gives him a lot of depth underneath there. Gives him some roundness to his body. Doesn't look so flat. We should do it up. Yeah. Should do it up underneath his chin a little bit. All right. There we go. I think I'm getting to almost as much as I can do with him totally wet. I might have to dry him off in a second before I do much more. Just making sure that the colors that are on there are happy and happy to be with each other. Just rounding out his eye a little extra bit. And I think that's going to be it for a minute. I'm going to have to put this under the blow dryer. I will be right back in 1 second. Okay, so here's my painting. It's all nice and dry. This is my version of a Snowy Plover. I'm going to sign it right down here. And here's the picture that I started with. Whoops, there we go. Here's the little guy in front. It's kind of cute, little huddled up there, and there's what I came up with, my version. I hope you like it. Give a like to the video, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you back here painting with me another time, and thanks for the view.